This Friday, for the first time ever, not one but two former Soviet bloc nations hosting a major football tournament. Poland and Ukraine will be the venues for Euro 2012. Warsaw's National Stadium hosting the opening ceremony. The French touching down Thursday in Donetsk ahead of their weekend clash with England. But neither the French president nor the British Prime Minister will be there for the kickoff on the 11th. They're boycotting over the jailing of emblematic head of the opposition, Yulia Tymoshenko, sentenced to 7 years behind bars for abuse of power. She's at the heart of the long power struggle between pro-Russia and pro-Western forces. That's what's making headlines abroad. Inside Ukraine, our East Europe correspondent Gulliver Cragg spoke to activists more angry over corruption. Corruption, they say, is rife in both camps. For reporters, the France 24 investigative news magazine, he traveled to various venues to see 20 years after the fall of the Iron Curtain if Ukrainians are ready to have that conversation about rule of law. Today in the France 24 debate, we're going to be going inside Ukraine, and we're going to do it with Anton KOSLOV of the American Graduate School. Thank you for being with us. Also with us, George-Frederick, JEWSBURY historian with Paris's EHESS, the Higher School of Social Sciences. Thank you for being with us. The France 24 debate, where you can follow along on Facebook. You can even weigh in on the conversation there. And Twitter, you can find us at FrancoisF24. Before we go to our panelists, let's go to Ukraine, a nation divided over whether to look east or west, a very different nation from co-host Poland. It's all aboard with France 24 East European correspondent Gulliver Cragg.
It's full steam ahead on Ukraine's answer to the TGV.
Hit 140 here, then down to 100 past the station.
Running at 160 kilometers an hour on an archaic network, the new Hyundai Rotem trains offer quite a ride. They're part of a massive investment program linked to Euro 2012 and totaling more than 10 billion euros. They will halve journey times between host cities Kiev, Lviv, Kharkiv and Donetsk. Donetsk is the heart of Ukraine's industrial, Russian-speaking east. Hardly a tourist destination, it's undergone a makeover for foreign fans. But one these activists find more than a little suspicious.
This is one of the new signs they put up in Donetsk for the euro, at 900 euros each. Have a look. This isn't silver, it's not bronze, it's ordinary metal. So what are the 900 euros for? I don't get it.
Yevhen is convinced the real answer is kickbacks. The signs, he says, are just one example of the corruption that is ravaging Ukraine. Yevhen is the local leader of a small new political party, Democratic Alliance. They're fundraising for an anti-graft campaign.
We're the first party in Ukraine that's not accepting money from oligarchs or spending it on expensive billboards and so on.
The mood in Donetsk is as bleak as the weather. Tired of venal politicians, people respond well to the activists.
These people pay taxes in order to have a decent city, with hospitals and decent roads. And the city simply steals this money, so of course they feel concerned.
When everyone starts thinking like these guys, then things will change, but until then... Oh, excuse me, my bus is here.
That change may be coming. In the run-up to Euro 2012, corruption has become a constant topic of discussion in Ukraine. And this is one of the main reasons. The renovation of Kiev's Olympijski Stadium was carried out by companies whose ownership is opaque and who won their contracts in non-competitive tenders. It cost 500 million euros, more than many stadiums take to build from scratch. So where did the money go? Certainly not to these workers racing to complete the venue's car park just days before kickoff. They say they earn about 15 euros a day and live in fear of not getting paid at all. All the more so if they were to be caught on camera complaining. Eventually, one labourer agrees to an interview a little distance from the site, but strictly with his back to us.
The rest of my team has gone home. They didn't get a single kopeck of what they were owed, but I'm telling you, in Ukraine people will kill for 10 euros. For 10 euros, they'll cut your head off. And the sums I'm talking about here, it's more like 4,000 euros that weren't paid. So if someone doesn't like what I say, they can take me out. And I'm not here to challenge those forces, you know what I mean? To meet a worker who will show his face, we travel 500 kilometers to Dnipropetrovsk.
EHESS former team leader Andrij meets us here in Ukraine's fourth largest city. But it's the smaller towns of the region that he says we have to see to get a better sense of how the elite are bagging the country's wealth.
You'll see when we get to Nikopol and Ordzhonikidze. My hometown, Ordzhonikidze, used to be the world #1 for manganese ore extraction, and it's still #2. All these colossal revenues, they used to flow into the city budget. Now they all just end up in a few people's pockets.
Apart from the occasional luxury SUV to be seen on its streets, there are few signs in Ordzhonikidze that this is a mineral-rich town. Its outlying districts, where Andrej's mother lives, don't even have running water. Andrij has been recuperating here after leaving the stadium site in Kiev penniless and disgusted at the way he was treated.
I went there to earn money to help my mother, who's ill.
I'm ill, but from what I get from my pension, I can't afford to buy medicine.
Andrej's mother raises chickens and grows vegetables to make ends meet. But she was counting on a bit of assistance from her son.
I'm telling you, instead of helping my mum, I've ended up lining the pockets of some dodgy people that I don't even know.
Andrij claims that after several weeks of work, his employers flatly denied that he and his team had done anything and expelled them from the site. Other workers, he says, had similar stories.
A lot of people I started chatting to because, well, I was interested, I was investigating, asking why they didn't pay us. They said, "You're not alone." Really, a lot of people got ripped off.
The corrupt practices that lead to such situations happen to be the subject of a parliamentary debate that very day. It's on the radio.
They say all the right things and do the opposite.
The EU's relations with Ukraine have gone cold recently, mainly because of the treatment of former Prime Minister Yulia Tymoshenko. Her jailing last autumn is widely seen as politically motivated and unfair. But Andrij is convinced that she was just as corrupt as the current government. Europe's demands for her release leave him perplexed.
Why Tymoshenko? I'm not a fan of Tymoshenko, absolutely not. Frankly speaking, it doesn't bother me that she's in jail. They could shoot her for all I care. All I say is, if she were president rather than Viktor Yanukovych, she'd do exactly the same as him. In my view, jail's the right place for her. But not just for her, also for the current Prime Minister, Azarov and Yanukovych, and the rest.
We head back to Donetsk. Yevhen and his colleagues from Democratic Alliance are staging a protest action that plays on the notion of punishing corrupt officials. On trial, the archetypal crooked councillor.
He is guilty. He is guilty of stealing money by buying chicken for kindergartens at the price of €3.70 per kilo, when the real market value is less than €2.
Yevhen reads out a litany of charges against the city council, alleging that kickbacks inflate prices for public spending across the board.
Democratic Alliance is today hanging the whole corrupt system, which is designed to steal taxpayers' money.